The Critshow contains elements of horror, fantasy violence, and adult language. Content warnings can be found in the episode description.
Stole my pastry.
Just now?
No.
Oh.
Wait, a what?
A coati.
What's that?
It's like Jake described it as if a raccoon and an anteater had a baby.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Little kind of long-snooted rodent. It's got a long stripy tail, but it's much skinnier. Have you seen the video where like it looks like a bunch of tiny brontosauruses are walking, but then you realize it's something being played in reverse?
Yeah.
It's like those things.
Okay.
Their tails stick straight up. They look like little brontosaurus necks.
On our honeymoon in Mexico, they were all over the place. And we kept seeing them like off the path in the trees and stop and watch and take a video or just call out to them that they were really cute as they were like digging around. But none of them got like really close to us until it was like the last couple days that we were there and we were eating breakfast at like a little side table and chairs next to a railing. And then one of them walked through the path and then jumped up on the railing and then slowly walked all the way down to us and got really close. And I was so excited, made Jay take a picture. And then it rushed out, jumped on the table, grabbed the bag that had a pastry on it, and then took off back off the railing. But it grabbed it by the wrong end, so the pastry went flying out of it. And it ran away, dragged the empty bag into the trees, realized it was empty, and came back. I was like, I want to pet you so bad.
And there were employees who were walking around and like clearly displeased with us for even making this an option.
Sure.
Like, you know, they'd be like, hey, watch out because it'll try to steal your food. And we're like, yeah, we know it already did. And they're like, you dense motherfuckers. That's a bad thing.
We didn't feed it. We didn't feed that one. We did feed some cats the night before.
A bunch of feral cats came to us while we were eating at a different outdoor restaurant. We fed them little bits of salmon to try and get them to let us pet them.
Did not work, but it looked like my nephew, in my defense.
The cat?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, I saw the cat and I was like, doesn't that cat look like James if he was a cat? And she's like, yes.
So I named it after my nephew. And then another one showed up and I named it after his brother. And I kept calling for them and the waiters kept coming by. And so I kept being like, Jake, watch my back. Make sure no one's looking so I can feed this cat some salmon.
Terrible. We are terrible. We were terrible. We are terrible.
We didn't pet any of them, though.
I touched an iguana.
Without me.
Yeah. We did get to see, so this place was also overrun with iguanas. That's the reason we went there.
Yeah.
The celebrity iguana. We did get to see the celebrity iguana.
I did get a picture with Kevin. He was beautiful.
Yep. And then just a bunch of other iguanas all over the place. And there was one in particular when I was in the pool and I was just kind of like over the edge of the pool and it was very close and it had its back to me and it was looking over its shoulder back at me. And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. Just very gradually reached out and one finger just touched its tail for a second and then withdrew and we were all good. And I was like, perfect. Balance maintained. I got what I wanted.
He didn't run away and I accidentally kept his tail. This is exactly how I wanted this to play
He didn't
out.
turn around and bite me.
Yeah.
What else did we see? We saw so many critters. We saw bats. We went into cenotes, which are those like underwater, not all underwater, but like the partially freshwater, partially saltwater, like cave systems.
Oh, yeah.
And swam into one of the underground ones, and there was a fucking colony of bats up in a thing above our head.
It was
That was
amazing.
cool. We saw something called a red-rumped agouti, and I couldn't remember the last word, but I could only remember that it was a red rump something because that was funny. I tried to Google it. Apparently, there's also a red rump tarantula, and that's the only fucking thing I could find on Google, so that was a bummer.
Oh, no.
What else? Chakawaka birds, or I don't think that's what they were actually called.
Yeah, no, I think that's it.
Man. And so I'm going to pursue my lifelong dream of a nature show now. And I'm going to do it on the grounds of the resort. And here's the thing. They're not going to know about it. So I'm going to need all of you to be real quiet and real cool here.
I
And
like this.
also give us money to go back because that was expensive.
Yeah, so I'm going to start a Kickstarter for my gorilla nature show.
Your gorilla, maybe gorilla show.
Gorilla show.
Oh, man. When we went to do the cenote thing, the guy was, our guide was telling us about all the various wildlife that like could be in this area that we might see, like bats and different things. And one of them was a jaguar. because that's like where we were, like an area where it's like, there's a lot of people here, so we probably won't, but theoretically you could see a jaguar.
Yeah.
And then we were in one of the fucking caves underground.
So his phrase that he used whenever somebody would ask him something was, I think it was, of course. He would just be like, they'd say like, are we going to see jaguars? And he'd be like, of course.
It was just his general affirmative in English that he used for everything. Instead of like yes or sure or anything, it was of course. But
it really threw everybody else there off because they were like, should I have assumed this?
Of course.
So this is guaranteed, but it turned out that the jaguar was guaranteed because when we were in one of the fucking underground caverns, he's the only one with a flashlight and he's pointing out things we should see. And then he goes, watch out for the jaguar, and points it over, and they have put a fake fucking jaguar in one of the little cave entrances, and I about shit my pants.
We are can't touch the ground. We're just floating by our life jackets. There's stalactites like half a foot above our head. And there's just a whole ass jaguar down here.
Nonchalant. Oh, and watch out for the jaguar. This is so good.
Yeah. So that guy was a comic genius.
Yeah, he was great.
And I'll be bringing him on board for the nature show.
Except for the moment. So Jake and I left all of our shit in the van, right? And everybody else brought like their phones because they had like the little like phone water pouches.
Oh.
I forgot to get those. So I was like, that's fine. We'll just live in the moment. I don't need pictures. So we had like a duffel bag that like rolled up. It's waterproof. So put everything in there, rolled it up, left it in the van. So we go through the cenotes and went through the 2 underground ones. We went to an open water swimming one. And we're just sitting there by the side. And then he comes up to me and he taps me on the shoulder. And he's like, I got this for you if you want to do a picture. And hands me my phone. And Jake goes, did he go through our bag? And I said, yeah, he absolutely went through our bag.
100%.
I left it there on purpose.
What?
So then she's like,
hell?
Okay, I guess we'll take a photo. And I was like, man, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, on the one hand, that's hugely invasive, but it's also really considerate.
Because it's like, you're the only group here that's not getting photos of this. Everyone else is taking group pictures.
Have there been any strange charges on your card since then?
Well, I haven't been maintaining a watchful enough eye. I'm going to do that right now.
We find all of you in the kitchen of the underground castle. All of the folks that you rescued from Central State Hospital are now cleaned up and awake, and they have joined you in here for a little something to eat.
Nice.
So Landara, how did it go?
Good. It was surprisingly quick work.
Yeah, I mean, you were really good at it. How long were you there?
I'll be quite honest, the way I was kind of jumping around in my sleep schedule, just trying to get this finished, I didn't keep track.
That's fair.
Little trick I learned back in my mercenary days. If I knew a job was going to be long, I tried to not keep track of the days so that it didn't quite feel so exhausting.
I'll remember that.
How are you feeling now?
Better now that I'm out of that cell.
Well, I almost hate to jump right to business, but now that you're here, we thought we might ask if you'd want to help us out with our last big push.
Yeah, I know that you had thrown around the idea of me possibly being the new home for death.
How do you feel about that?
I definitely have a different perspective on it. I guess I don't know what it's gonna look for. Like, if you offer me up, does it have to take me?
No, not necessarily. I think it evaluates you. But, like, again, this isn't going to go the way it has with some of the other people we've recruited. Like, in theory, we would have you there because we genuinely think that you're an excellent candidate for it. I think the point is it may not pick you. It might not. It might jump past you to whoever else is out there that it thinks is, going to do the job right. So that's why this is kind of a big ask to have you come along at all and help us with this fight, and then maybe be there to become the avatar of a endless core of existence.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like it'll find me anyway if I'm not there, if it is kind of looking for me.
It's true.
Yeah, it could be looking for you. It could be looking for somebody else that has the same potential to hold it. But I think you could always decide afterwards as well if you're like, hey, actually, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
We can work with that, and do what's best for you. But this is just a way for us to have a little bit more control over something that's, well, just really unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely good being at least a temporary vessel. I don't want it going to someone like Koshe again, where they start abusing the things that it allows them to do as opposed to just letting the natural state happen.
Sure.
Well, great. If you're willing to fill that role, even if it's temporary, then we can check that box off for now. But we still have a couple of people we need to collect and meet up with our gods, right?
Yeah. Speaking of which, who's first?
Okay. Well, Ranger Dave and Anastasia are most likely at the IPT. So going there and talking to them, maybe see if Margaret's around and see how she's doing as well.
We might also want to get Rev up to speed about, like, having to be the master of magic at a major ritual.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's a good point. I also need to get the word out to Harrison and see if he's even willing to meet with us, let alone take on this responsibility, so.
God, that's a really good point. Jake, do you have a handle on the spell, like enough to coordinate with Rev so that he's up to date on that end? I mean, I know that was going to be your job, but I don't know how magic works, so I don't know what we were going to do to start out that process.
I mean, I have a little bit of a handle on it. The building blocks are just sort of, fundamentals that I'm sure Rev already knows and understands, and at a certain point it becomes kind of an interpretive process. There's a little bit in the middle there that I could probably talk to him about.
Okay. I'm speculating on if we need to set aside some time to confer with Baba Yaga before we do this and like fill in any gaps that the two of you might have setting it up.
I mean, she hadn't given me any more thus far, but if Rev's feeling underprepared, he might want to go chat with her still.
Right.
All Kara said was that the master of magic fed the power to supply the ritual. I don't know. I haven't had a vision of the ritual since, Jake, you switched places. I could take a peek and see if the vision has changed in some significant way now that Rev's in that seat.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it.
Okie doke. Okay.
I'm just poking her shoulder. White
Come
eyes.
Come on, Kim, have a vision.
Flash.
My eyes just like flash instantaneously now that it doesn't require time.
Yeah, Kim, why don't you investigate a mystery as you force this vision?
14.
All right, you get a hold too.
What was it going to do?
Keep talking. What was what going to do?
Like from me seeing Jake, like Jake's role as the master of magic, what he was doing and how that compares to Rev's role as master of magic.
So this vision washes over you, and the setting is a little clearer. Like before, it was in a very liminal space. It's hard to make out where this is happening, but you do get the feeling of things that are hazy on the outskirts of the circle. You see the circle, and then the line coming out from it with the three other positions. Most of the people around the circle are now solidified in your mind's eye. You see Jake, you see Damien, you see Megan, you see TJ and Selena. You also see the spots where you and Tass and Rev are standing. It doesn't seem like he is doing anything different than what Jake had done, really kind of acting as a conduit to the energies that are coming from wherever this is happening and feeding them into the circle.
Okay, cool. What is being concealed here?
So the thing that's being concealed here is that it is in a location. You see this happening in a spot. And as you start to focus your vision outside of the circle, you realize that the circle is much, much larger than your initial perception of it was seeing it. And you haven't been there yourself, but you've heard them talk about it enough. You realize that everyone is standing in this circle in the tunnels that are underneath the island of the Waven Sea, and that there must be magical energies flowing through there. It's a place that Nash is familiar with, and probably a place you could get him to come of his own volition.
Cool. My freehold is what happened here.
I think the thing that happened here, just going off of that, what's being concealed here is Nash, back before he was infected with being death, had set this place up himself as a secret spell circle. That some of those caves are too intentional, that there is this magical energy that runs underneath the island. He set this up for the thing he was trying to do before the thing he was trying to do was taken from him.
Sweet. I like to imagine that this vision came over me and went in the time between Tass poking me in the shoulder and like him rearing back and getting ready to poke me again in the shoulder, and I just swat his hand away. I did it.
Oh my God.
What'd you see?
So first of all, everybody in the circle is becoming a lot clearer, which is cool. So I saw Rev standing where the Master of Magic would be, and what he was doing didn't look significantly different than from when I saw Jake in that same position, so we should be okay. But more importantly, I saw where this ritual is taking place.
Where is it?
I haven't been there, but I've heard you all talk about it, and I've read about it. There's a bunch of tunnels underneath the Waven Sea.
Oh, buddy, we're going home.
Nash has a circle down there. I think he was using it as kind of like, I don't know about like a safe house, but like a place that he could retreat to. It's probably a place that we could get him to return to. I also think it's where he was going to do his own ritual, before death got involved.
Oh, God, that's where he was going to make like
monstrous.
the super monstrous.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. Okay. Well, awesome. Hell yeah. We've got a battleground.
Yeah.
How do we get him there?
Uh-huh.
Especially if this was Nash's plan before he was death, right?
Yeah.
And now having a new agenda, seems like a lot of his old plans have kind of been left to the wayside. What could we come up with that could appeal to what he is now?
I don't know if it's just a flat-out invitation or if we try to leak him some information, but I mean, he wants us dead. Like, I think if he thinks he can get one over on us himself, he'll show up. He'll try to do it. I mean, he was already a man of great pride, and now he's powered by death, and everything he's thrown at us, we have put down.
Could we send out like a psychic signal of some kind?
Possibly that could be a way to leak this, like kind of a fake tease in the psychic winds of where we're going, or
I've got an idea.
the few most terrifying words that I know. Go ahead.
I want to create a amplification machine that will amplify Megan's ability to telepathically talk and have her challenge him to a duel or something, I guess, on the Waven Sea.
I like the idea of sort of increasing the potency and the range of what she can do, but I don't know if we want to be that direct. But we could still have her think something that seems like an accident.
Right. So instead of maybe challenging him directly, maybe it's an all call to heroes or to monsters out there to beware or something, anything that could possibly just pique his interest.
Yeah, hell, we could maybe even try to figure out one of his cronies that's close or that we think has an aptitude for hearing that kind of thing, and it leaks to them. They report it to him. He shows up to do the dirty work.
Yeah, but who? The only one of his operatives that I can think of that we haven't already defeated is the New Mercury, and we never really were able to figure out who that was.
Listen, I'm not here for the details, okay? I'm like a big picture guy.
Could we do something with letting him know that we know that he took the Promethean dagger? Kind of use it as a move to try and get it back, or if we think he stole something else from Strom.
That's true. Hell, maybe we ask permission from Strom just to use her name. Say it's her just sending an invitation. I know what you have. Meet me here. I want to talk terms on getting my stuff back. We have a trap set. We're ready to go.
Yeah, or maybe propose a trade or something.
Yeah.
What would he want to trade for? And even before that, I feel like trying to stage a trade in his secret underground lair where he has set up a viable magic circle. I could see through that, and I'm a fucking imbecile. I feel like he's going to see that that's a trick.
I don't know. Strom is persuasive and intelligent. I think if she were to send him a message saying something to the effect of, you found something of mine and I found something of yours, that would pique his interest. Like, I know you took something from me and I tracked down something that you think is a secret to you. I'm here.
But doesn't that already remove the element of why Keeley Island? What's the bargaining chip of I know where your home is?
These are the questions.
Yeah. All that is to say is I agree with Jake. Like, we don't want him to smell it.
Kester, this is a big ask. Is this something you could see into? The best way to get Nash to Keeley Island?
It's not exactly in my wheelhouse. I could take a look at the things that he's got around him, perhaps the things at Keeley Island. But again, anything that I come back with would be how to get him there now.
Right. Okay. So maybe that is something that we sit on and do when we're a bit more ready to pull the trigger. But I mean, I think that's giving us the best information we could possibly have.
Yes, I'm happy to give any aid that I can.
I want to lean over to Reggie. Hey, where you been?
He signs to you that he had been with a number of his family in the Everglades.
Do you know a guy named Seth?
He nods.
Nice.
Are things good for you all out there?
He shakes his head no. And he signs to you that there's just not a lot of good things for them to feed off of. You know, animals and things like that don't give them the exact nutrition that they need, but if they, kind of take to trying to feed off of campers or explorers, that they have to do it so secretively that it makes it very difficult. And if they're discovered while it's happening, that fear and that panic kind of taints what it is that they're getting from the source. And so there's just not a good way for them to go. And so they've resorted to a lot of ingesting other things, almost kind of like hummingbirds. Like they are making other mixtures to try. And sometimes they're getting sick. Sometimes it's making them more hungry. They haven't found a good substitution for blood.
As he's saying this, I'm coming up with the idea for a synthetic blood that could probably be manufactured.
Yes, our True Blood future.
Our True Blood future.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never actually seen that show, so my idea is original.
Well, hopefully once we get all this taken care of, we can start trying to fix things up for you and yours, get you somewhere else, and get you easier access to food.
He nods and signs that that's actually how they met Seth. It's just not a thing that they can continuously do, but because of Seth's abilities, from time to time he lets them feed off of him, and that the idea was to maybe try to find someone that they could kind of have a symbiotic relationship with, something that could heal and give blood, but could take something from them. But they just haven't found anything yet because they, in particular, don't have anything that they could give to Seth and his kind of wild nature magic.
Man, learning all of this, it really puts into perspective how much work there is to do with the pizza party. The whole idea of trying to set up a future where humans and supernatural creatures can coexist, can live peacefully, the way that the, cracked mirror universe has got it figured out. We've started laying the pieces here, but there's still a lot to do, and it's really bad right now. Hey, do you guys remember when we killed Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I only read about it.
No.
Well, you know how afterwards we were talking to Janie, and she said that the genie wanted to thank us with a wish, not a huge one, but something that it had enough power for?
Yeah?
I think I have an idea of what to use that on, unless there's something that you guys can think of that would benefit us in trying to set up this plan and helping it go right. But I think using that power to add a little something to the spell could really go a long way in helping us all work towards a future where things like this, and I gesture to Reggie, don't have to happen, that there can be a kind of symbiotic relationship that nobody has to hide or be afraid anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't this sounds harsher than I mean for it to. It doesn't solve any problems right now, but it paves a much easier way to solve the problems moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that any wish, but especially one of this size, could give us world peace, but I think it could eliminate some of the barriers that we're coming up across when we meet people like the Awoken that have this viewpoint that is so focused on fear and hate and completely being unable to recognize anything but monstrosities in other people.
I mean, I think ultimately it boils down to what can that genie actually do for us to make a wish that's worth it. Like, I think of all the things we've been doing, what you're suggesting ultimately is the most important. Of course, that is if and only if we succeed at getting death out of Nash. Because if we don't do that, nothing matters.
Damien takes your hand. What do you think is the thing that gets people, I don't know, to perceive one another differently? I imagine, we can't do like magical mind changing. That seems like it'll backfire if I've read enough science fiction stories.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like mind control anyone, but I mean, and I don't mean to sound self-important, but I think it's empathy. I think being able to understand where someone is coming from and being able to see yourself in them and recognize that, everyone just wants to be okay. Everyone just wants to survive, and having this fear of the unknown or something different, something that feels like it could challenge that safety, leads people to extreme things. Everyone just wants to not be seen as a threat and not have to worry about everyone else being a threat. And I think if I could just put a little bit of my ability and my power into this overall spell to kind of boost that in everyone, not, telepathy, not being able to read each other's minds or know each other's deepest thoughts, but being able to more easily recognize themselves in everyone around them. I think it could maybe do a lot for people to want to help one another, want to, give blood. Kimmy asked me that one time, if I would willingly donate blood, if that's what it meant. And it just seemed obvious. Like, yes, if somebody else needs this to survive, and if they don't have it, it's going to lead them to desperate acts or potentially hurting someone else. Well, of course.
All right, so what does the wish look like?
I don't know exactly, but that seems a bit out of the scope of what I could give into this spell. Unless that's something we think Rev has the ability to do to alter this spell, but it seems like it's such a bigger scale than we're used to.
What, to have them see what we're doing through that spell?
To imbue a part of the essence of the empath into it.
Ah.
I feel like there's a way to kill a couple birds with one stone here. TJ has pitched this idea of like creating a machine to beam out some of your ability. What if you use the wish to boost that, to get this concept out before the ritual, but in putting this out on a global scale, you also let slip where we're about to do something? Because Nash would be part of the audience, right? If it's going to everybody, he's part of everybody. And if it's before the ritual, then he would know. He'd see that we're doing something big, and he might think that he noticed something in the background we didn't want him to, but we did.
That's a great idea.
What if we did this from the Eye of Ra?
Why?
Because it's a satellite that can encompass the entire world? I mean, not like the satellite itself, but the signal from it could do that.
Yeah, as long as we could somehow still convey, quote-unquote, accidentally, that we're about to do something beneath the wave and sea to get him there. That would be a great place, I think, for you to piggyback off of with whatever you're going to design.
The message, sort of, not like kumbaya sort of moment or anything like that, but like the idea of the empathic abilities of Megan, and then inside that signal can be hidden like a message of that we're having a party over at the Keeley Island Wave and Sea, and we can have everybody come.
I was thinking more along the lines of like, in this message, whatever Megan's gonna say, including something to the effect of like, we're working hard to make this reality a future, and somehow spoiling that Keeley Island is involved in whatever action we're going to take.
Right.
The only thing I'm not feeling great about this is I don't know if it should be a message. I don't know if we should be broadcasting that we're doing this. I feel like that might instill fear in people itself, that they're being manipulated somehow. This is purely supposed to be a natural boost.
Yeah, it feels like what you were describing before was you want to send out something that cracks the door to everybody's ability to feel something, whereas what you guys are kind of discussing now is knocking on their door with a message, as opposed to the door getting cracked and them hearing something from outside.
I think it's important that people come to these realizations on their own. you're right, Damien. It is like cracking the door. It's making the access to that humanity just easier. But I think telling them is going to cause more problems than not. But there's got to be some in between here because I think that's a good idea.
Would there be a way to... I mean, Rev's going to be channeling a ton of magic for this ritual. Is there a way to imbue some of the genie's magic into that so that while this ritual is going off, that door gets opened for everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was basically the initial pitch. I was just trying to think of a way we could utilize it to leak the information we need to leak in advance.
We'll already get an answer as to how to get Nash to meet us in Keeley Island. It's just we won't know it until it's ready to pop off.
Just via Kester?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if Kester's answer would require us to shut down the spell?
Yeah, I mean, his answer might be anything.
Yeah, I mean, we know it'll work, whatever it is.
Sure.
But I guess it kind of seems like it should be a backup option.
I am still leaning towards the wish being used as described by Megan.
I think we start with collecting these people and getting them in touch with their gods, and then we can talk to Harrison, then depending on what he says, come up with a course of action and start acting. Shall we stop off at IPT first?
Might as well.
Sure, we could always, armor up and things like that.
Yes, let's go raid their
respend all our
pantry.
gear posts. Cool. 1 second. Hey, Kester?
Yes.
I have a knack for always having really bad timing with this sort of thing, but also, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, except I will tomorrow morning. But anyway, for right now, I don't know if after we all save the world or whatever, you want to go get dinner sometime. I knew you in another timeline, but I'd like to get the chance to know you, if that makes sense.
That sounds lovely, yes. Assuming you all save the world, dinner's on me.
Sweet. I tap the necklace. I kind of had an inkling that you'd say that.
And then I go up to Kim and I say, Kim, after all this is done, you want to go get some chow together?
I just
As a
made
friend?
plans.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course. I didn't have any other untoward plans.
Untoward. That's how TJ describes his romantic
You cannot
life.
get the smell of sewer out of that fur.
You will need to talk to Strom about your intentions with me.
Everybody shoot their shot.
Untoward.
Selena,
What that
what
mouth
that
do?
mouth?
I already told you were my least favorite tasting.
You pulled that out of my brain?
Is that
Like
you?
a fuck-
You looked at me. You said Selena, and then you made eye contact with me, and I was like, I know exactly.
Oh.
And then I touch the necklace on me that I don't actually have.
It's a
so,
candy necklace.
Yeah.
And you pull it to your mouth and crunch it.
Yum,
The
yum,
little
yum,
dog
yum,
treats
yum,
on it.
It's got dog
A milk bone necklace.
Yum, 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 yum.
His family gave it to him in his stocking.
Oh, now in every scene, I'm just gonna imagine TJ with a candy necklace. Just
All right, so you all head through the portal back to Indianapolis, out of the subterranean lair and through the tunnels to the IPT. Is there anyone that you're picking up on the way as you Pied Piper your way through the portals and the subterranean lair? Are you bringing anybody new with you, or
Rev, come here.
what?
We're going to go do a big magic spell soon.
Yeah, he jumps into the back of the line and starts following the parade.
Yeah, I'll just be chatting with him about what I do know of the circle and what to expect, what I don't know to expect,
Yeah.
trying to set expectations.
as we get outside, I want to write on a slip of paper. I have a very, very, very interesting business proposal for you. If you're interested, call me at 555-555-5555? Question mark? And then I take the paper and I fold it up and I put it on the sidewalk and I pour water on it. And I don't remember if that was the order I was supposed to do things in, but that's what I do. And hopefully Harrison sees that.
Yeah, as soon as you start to walk away, your phone rings.
Oh, hello.
I'll be quite honest, yours wasn't the voice I was expecting to hear when I called this number.
Oh, that was fast.
I could call back later.
Nope. Now's fine. Where are you? How are you? Do you want to be a god?
That was a lot of questions. Not all of them fully stated. That last one's super confusing.
Yeah, can we meet in person?
Is that Harrison?
It's Harrison, yeah.
Tell him I said hi.
Tass says hi.
Hello.
He said hello.
Is that Harrison?
Yes,
I don't know him.
I know.
Tell him whenever you ask him things like if he wants to be God, you say yes.
It's true. You're supposed to say yes.
Can we meet in person?
Will they be there shouting?
Probably, but we can handle that later.
Where at?
Meet me at the Monument Circle at the Steak and Shake.
All right, I'll see you in, 45 minutes.
Sounds good.
He hangs up.
While on this parade, I've also pulled out my phone and I'm texting Strobe and I said, I just asked Kester out, eye emoji.
She responds, LOL, but she thinks it means lots of love.
Fantastic.
I just imagine her texting in hieroglyphs for some reason.
Okay. Meeting with Harrison in like 45 minutes.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and you all make your way into the IPT. You head up to the second floor where the offices are, and Ranger Dave is in his office, and you can see that Anastasia's office is closed, but the lights are on.
From Dave's enormous corner office.
Big windows that stare at the rock.
Yeah, great views. I got a great view of this drippy pipe right here.
It's not actually windows. It's all like screens that like show like a beach view.
Yeah.
It's just like Yosemite.
What's up, Dave?
Oh, not too much. How you guys doing?
We're good. We have a question for you if you would like to join us on sort of like the mission of a lifetime.
Can I have some more details? Or?
Just come with us, because we're going to have to explain this to Anastasia in a second, too. So just...
Oh, all right. I mean, a chance to go out in the field with Anastasia, I'd be down. He gets up and follows.
go knock on her door.
A couple of seconds pass, and then she opens it. Why are there so many of you?
Well, we're about to sort of hit the big red button, and so it's, we're gathering the forces, and
Oh, it's that time.
it's go time.
Yeah.
All right, what do you need me to do?
So look, you know Jake's deal, Megan's deal, probably a little about TJ's deal with the essences of the gods that they utilize for their abilities, right?
And from inside the office you hear, TJ's deal is that he's dead. What are you talking about?
I peek past the door.
Margaret's sitting there.
Margaret, TJ's here.
And I peek past the door on the other side.
I pushed TJ into the room.
And Anastasia's like, yeah, I was just getting to that. Oh, well, that's terribly interesting. How did this come about?
I don't know. That's terrible.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, no.
Oh, I thought he'd been dead. I was thankful for that. Oh, my God. What a piece of shit.
I was just cashing in his insurance finally.
You fucked me.
I'll never financially recover from this. How is that possible?
Apparently, my grandpa...
You can stop there. If your grandpa is involved, I'm not going to understand the explanation. But I appreciate it. Good to know that you're back.
Thanks.
So yeah, it's kind of almost go time, and we need to have an avatar of all of the gods, and myself, Kim, Rev, we're setting up kind of a whole thing, but we need a couple more people to accept these mantles. And Anastasia, Dave, we thought of you two as being particularly excellent candidates for a couple of these positions.
Hell yeah, hit him with the HR speak. I'm like rubbing Tass's shoulders.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
We really need you to synergize with us.
Think outside the box.
Dave looks around. All right, well, what does that mean? What's that entail?
Well, for you, like, look, we were talking about it, and like, we haven't seen anybody at your level of like excitement and willingness to jump into a battle, especially someone that doesn't have superpowers. Like I couldn't do what you do without my stuff, and I've been doing this for years. Like, you are fucking awesome, dude.
Thanks.
You're always up for a challenge, so we thought that you would be a good option for the challenger. Somebody who really embodies the excitement and craves adventure.
And has the tenacity to see anything through to completion.
Yeah, it was a relief when I met all of you, because I just spent so long thinking that the world seemed awfully small, and then there was more, and I was right in the middle of it. I had to grab a hold.
And it looks like you've been thriving, and we think that the challenger will agree.
So this means that you will take on kind of the essence of what that god represents. Most likely that will result in some sort of enhanced abilities. I think it maybe looks a little different for everybody. We can't tell you exactly what you'll be able to do, but you'll be a little different.
I'm in.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was there more?
Well, just it's a lot of responsibility. And it can be a little scary sometimes, being able to do things that you couldn't before. And it sometimes makes you feel different and unsure of yourself. But if you feel like that's something you could work through and use to help people live a better life, then, I mean, we'll all obviously be here to help with anything that comes up, but it can just be a lot.
So we're going to be like a duo. Anastasia and I are the challengers, and we're out in the world like challenging people to stuff, or?
Yeah, no, not exactly. So see, there's only like one person per god that can like house that energy. So Anastasia, for you, we thought maybe the executioner.
Now I'm rubbing Megan's shoulders, and I'm like, there you go. You delivered the bomb. Now ease it off. Come on, make it sound better.
Because you kill so much.
Ugh, Tass.
No.
I've got one hand on each of their shoulders. Okay, come on. Let's rein this in.
Okay, no. So, I mean, it sounds bad. Yeah, little to the left, Jake. Okay, so the idea of the executioner, this isn't a literal interpretation of what these words mean.
Yeah, because my experience with the executioner was Jake being kind of moody and having a flaming sword.
Yeah.
That was rad, though, right? You liked that.
Yeah, but my understanding was that you were all trying to get me to go away from that mentality.
Yes. So here's what we've learned.
Yeah.
My interpretation of the executioner and what it meant to serve that role was my interpretation. And that was on me. That came from my subconscious. That came from where I was at when I accepted the mantle.
Oh.
But like Megan is saying, it's not literally a hood and a axe executioner. It doesn't have to be. It's somebody who seeks to carry out justice. It's somebody who
Doesn't take half measures?
yeah, it's sort of how you interpret it. And assuming that you and that god have an understanding of each other, it's yours to wield how you see fit.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's a reason that you are the one that inherited all of this after Margaret. Like, you're damn good at this. Even if we've disagreed about methods and such things, like, we still want to work for you and root for you and fight alongside you because of your judgment.
And despite the fact that we are encouraging you to get away from, that method of operation, you know it, you've lived it, and so you have the perspective for this role even if you don't choose to deploy it that way.
And you know the difference between senseless violence and acting for a cause.
Yeah, it's the executioner, which is a role in a series of judgments, not the murderer.
So that element of vengeance, that was something you put into it?
In hindsight, yeah, I think so.
I mean, it makes sense given what you just gone through.
But it's not called the Avenger.
Yeah.
Wish it was. That'd be pretty fucking
That'd
cool.
be a sick name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we should call ourselves as a group.
I 100% agree. I'm in, yes.
Yeah.
Who's that at the door? It's Disney with a lawsuit.
And they're trying to kill us. Oh no!
Who's that at the lawsuit?
It's us.
It's us.
Crying at the feet of this mouse.
It's us and a judge and Disney's lawyers and Mickey himself.
The executioner.
He's got a keyblade axe. This is great.
Yeah, I think that's something I could manage. A lot of my time since I've met you, Megan, has been put into understanding the difference between when it's necessary and when it's not. So how would this affect what I do here?
I don't know that we know yet. I mean, I think worst case, that means that you all would kind of step up into this role and be forces in the world that are imparting your element, your flavor, however is necessary. So there's a level of that might be a welcome and perfect fit for something like IPT, especially with how we've all talked about reformatting it and trying to find a peaceable solution for everybody, humans, monsters, and so on.
So is this more of a Starship Troopers thing where I'm it till I'm dead, or you find somebody better, or can I resign?
Yeah, if it's not a fit for you, that's totally understandable. You can choose to not contain it any longer. It will just move on and choose the next person who it feels is suited to hold that energy.
All right. I think it's a little less daunting knowing that it's not a appointment for life kind of thing. But you got to make one promise to me. And she looks at you, Megan.
What's that?
You tell me straight if you see that I'm starting to do stuff that's going too far into the executioner back into how I used to be. That way I can let it go.
Absolutely. As long as you promise to listen.
Yeah, if I remember right. I don't think I have to be listening for you to get through all the time.
Well, hearing me and listening are two different things, but...
That's what Lana keeps telling me.
And not to make it sound mean, but after thinking about it a lot over all this time, I think exactly what you're talking about is part of why the Chosen exists, too. To just not be some kind of enforcer, but to be like a goalie.
I think you have enough people that are willing to be honest with you and help keep you on the straight and narrow here. Like I said, none of us are in this alone. We all have to have each other's backs because this isn't always an easy burden to bear.
All right, so now what?
I just look at Jake.
Who wants to meet God first?
Pulls out a gun.
Oh, shit.
Is that a threat? That's because I shot you all those years ago.
Yes.
This has all been a long con.
Who wants to meet God first?
Pull out a garage door opener and push a button.
Anastasia, don't be ridiculous. I don't hold grudges. My father held grudges. I'll always hate him for that.
Anastasia holds out her hand, and the two of you appear in that liminal space. What do you all picture when you hear executioner?
A Wild West sheriff.
Ooh. I have two. It flips back and forth because they're very similar properties. But in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, there's this executioner in sort of the climax battle that has the little black hood situation, and like it's just such an iconic look. And similarly,
nope, that's it. You only get one. You only get one.
Similarly, the executioner in Robin Hood Men in Tights that's measuring them for their nooses. Oh, 16 and a half. Oh.
I picture like somebody in like the ebony armor from Skyrim. Like a dark, pointy, armored big sword.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, like very like Vengeance Paladin.
Yeah. Again, that's probably just says more about me than it does about anything else.
Just imagine like a man in like long black robes like standing next to a guillotine.
Carl Urban's character from Thor Ragnarok.
Nice.
Jake, you see all of these different versions of the executioner fluctuating before you as he walks a circle around Anastasia. Anastasia stands at the center of the circle, arms crossed, turning with him, not breaking eye contact. And then his form turns to flame, surrounds her, engulfs her, and then you're both back in regular space. There's a moment where Anastasia is standing there, and then she curses and starts slapping at her thigh, and she rips at the pant material and pulls out a small hidden gun that has a flame licking from the end of it.
Oh!
Nice piece.
God.
So it went well then.
Yeah.
Does that hurt?
It did for a second, yeah.
Oh, well.
Why?
I
Does
just
fire not
figured
hurt
that
you?
because, I mean, fire hurts me, sure, but I just figured since you were now the avatar of this particular god that, it wouldn't hurt.
I don't know, Megan, do words still hurt?
Yeah.
I'll hold my hand out to Dave.
He takes it, and you all appear back in that liminal space. We see that fluctuating version of the Challenger moving around Dave. Dave stands with his arms at his side as the Challenger makes a slow circle around him, and then the Challenger gets back to the front and holds out the stein. He takes the stein and drinks, and then you're both back in regular space.
How'd it go?
Good. They just put me through a lot of situations to see what I'd do. People at the top of a mountain needing help, cries for help at night, just all kinds of things.
All right. Let's go meet some eyeballs.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
What?
There's this guy. He's like covered in eyeballs.
Yeah.
And we're going to make him be one of the gods.
Yeah, that's the aforementioned Harrison.
Is he allergic or anything? I don't want to get any of my fur in his eye.
No, it's fine. He kept me imprisoned for 6 months under Nash's orders. So I hope he's allergic to dogs.
Oh, okay.
Who all's going?
I'll go.
Are you taking all dozen people
Just
to the Steak
everybody's
and
Full
Shake?
parade into Shake Shack.
I think just Rev for now. Like, let the rest chill with their new situations.
Okay. So we find all of you around one of the big booths at Steak and Shake with the 5 of you, Rev and Harrison.
Okay. Thanks for meeting us here.
What skills and experiences would you say that you have that make you suited for this position? I pull out my notebook.
What position
Yeah,
is that?
I
Exactly?
I'm flipping through his application. I'm looking at his resume.
What are you treating that menu that way?
How did you get that?
What does he look like? Does he just look like a guy right now?
Yeah, he just looks like a guy.
Tass,
What?
which eyeball do I look at?
He's only got 2.
Just right down the middle.
Oh,
Just like a human. Look at him just like a human being.
Just pick an eye. Just
I'm like leaning over to TJ. He's only got 2 right now. Oh, if you could see him in his true form, it's fucking just atrocious.
oh God.
I can hear you all, you know.
yeah.
I'm looking directly at the 2 eyes that are currently presenting as I whisper to TJ, real fucking horror show.
TJ's just like flipping through his goggles, trying to find the frequency of the eyes.
You do when you get to the electromagnetic spectrum, it's eyes everywhere. You see like darker shades everywhere.
I throw the goggles on the ground.
Stomp on
Stomp on them.
Oh,
We're doing a spell to pull the god of death out of Nash, and we need to get the powers of all the other gods into people that have the potential to house their energy to all be a part of that spell. And so to do that, we are picking specific people that we feel properly represent the ideals and general vibe of each of the gods. And we think that you fit well for one of them. So we would like to offer you the opportunity to take on that energy and power in exchange for helping us perform this ritual. And I don't like you very much, but I also think that that's kind of important when picking people to take on this responsibility and power. And as much as I don't like to admit it, you seem like a good fit for this.
Well, how could I say no to an offer like that? What exactly does it require of me?
That Jake here takes you to meet, and I like look at them with like a questioning, and then I just like, I'm just going to say it. The torturer.
Well, I do like the sound of that.
We thought you might.
Bet you do.
And how exactly do I go about meeting this deity?
Yeah, just hold out your hand.
He holds out his hand.
Hold up, real quick, before we go. I want to make sure that you understand that this isn't just some free powers that you get to run around and do whatever you want with. Like, this is important. This is really, really important, Harrison. And if we find out that you're using this power in an abusive way and doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, then you're going to have to answer for it.
Well, how exactly does one misuse the powers of someone called the torturer?
We've had this conversation with others. The name is not implicit. Doesn't have to be literal. You can't be evil. You have to be neutral, I guess. You've got to consider yourself a force of nature. It's more than your motives.
Well, I've always considered myself to be someone who's neutral. I do like the phrase force of nature, but I understand what you're saying, that it's done with a purpose, but not a nil intent.
Exactly. And listen, I'm not saying that that's what you're going to do. To an extent, I understand that you were not keeping me imprisoned because you loved it and you wanted me to suffer. You were hired to do a job, and I don't think that that makes it okay, and I definitely don't forgive you because it wasn't on purpose. But the fact that you consider yourself neutral to begin with is the only reason that I think that this is a good fit. I'm just saying, if you get this boost, get these powers, stay neutral. Because if you tip too far the other way, we will find out.
All right. Does the same hold true if I tip too far on the positive side?
I think, yeah. Like, I mean, to a degree, yeah.
Probably just a matter of what we're keeping an eye out for and what we're likely to notice.
Or rather, what the people of the world are likely to notice. I mean, that's why the first ritual happened, right? Death ran unchecked, and the chosen was the elected person among the people to bring that issue to the gods, and then they kill death. It's not going to be solely up to us. It's a global thing, you know?
It's more of a popular vote thing than a trial by committee like you're presenting it.
Yeah.
All right. He holds his hand out.
I take it.
You take Harrison's hand and close your eyes. And a second passes, then another, and then another. Nothing is happening.
The Critshow is a Critshow Studios production, edited and produced by Brandon Wentz with music by Jake Purley. You can find more information about us at thecritshowpodcast.com. To keep up to date with upcoming live shows, contests, and other special events, follow us at The Crit Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For even more weekly content, join us at patreon.com/thecritShow.